I know that sounds harsh, but God has wired me. I do not do the store. I do not do games. I do not do lies. I do not do any of it. And it is not going to be welcome in this house. Drama is not welcome in this house. Yelling is not welcome in this house. The diffusion, the lies, and the bitterness, we are not doing it. And you are not going to press that upon my portal, and you are not going to bring it into my household that God runs. So you can just go ahead and take that out the window. That is why I cut those relationships, because I do not build relationships with people like that, because even false relationships build false emotions, and I do not need them.
Listen to that. That is not cold. That is straight obedience. Welcome to the Garden Sessions episode 17, family. We are diving deep today on cut ties or stay stuck. We're talking about why God sometimes calls you to prune people out of your life. Not because you are better than them, but because the forge requires clean ground. Love relationships, friendships, family ties, old crews, even those good people who look the part but are not walking the same narrow road. We're going to keep it real, like two brothers talking. No fluff, no fancy church voice, just truth that hits the heart and makes you laugh a little while it stretches you. Let's go.
Exactly. God is not building a social club, brother. He is forging a vessel for his calling. And every forge needs fire, pressure, and clean material. If the wrong branches stay attached, they suck life from the tree and drag the whole thing off course. Proverbs 4:23 hits like a sledgehammer. Quote, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." End quote. Your heart is the portal. Your household is the sanctuary God runs. When you let drama, bitterness, lies, yelling, diffusion, or false emotions walk in, you are opening the gate to the very things God is trying to burn out of you. That is not judgment on the other person. That is obedience to the one who called.
Let me paint this picture so everyone feels it in their gut. Imagine you finally got your garden cleaned up after years of mess. Flowers blooming, tomatoes growing strong, no weeds choking anything. Then your old friend pulls up with a truck full of thistles and just dumps them right in the middle of your garden. Are you going to smile and say, "Thanks for stopping by, make yourself at home"? No, man. You are going to say, "I love you, but take those thistles back where they came from." That is the parable right there. Jesus said it plain in John 15, quote, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful." End quote. God the gardener is not playing favorites. He is pruning for your good, not to hurt anyone's feelings. And sometimes that cut stings a little, but next season you are thicker, stronger, bearing far more fruit.
Preach it. And let us make this real with the scenarios we have all lived or seen, because this hits every area of life. First one, drug addiction and the old crew. You get saved. Chains break overnight like Paul getting knocked off his horse on the road to Damascus. But the boys still deep in the party life. Keep texting, keep inviting, keep pulling. "Hey mate, just one more time for old time's sake." Every single message is a hook trying to reopen the portal you already shut. You cut them not because you hate them, but because you cannot rebuild while the old system is still running in your phone. I have seen it happen too many times. Someone gets clean, starts walking solid with God, but keeps one foot in the old group chat. Next thing you know, the peace is gone and they are wondering why they are slipping again. That is the ghost effect kicking in.
Ghost effect. That is a perfect name for it. It is like you finally break up with the relationship, but you keep their hoodie in the cupboard. Every time life gets cold, you throw it on, smell the old cologne, and start reminiscing like it never ended. False emotions. Exactly the same thing with broken homes and a lack of love. Parents who never poured real love into you create this big vacuum inside. You grow up chasing attachment any way you can get it, even toxic relationships, even fake family that feels like love but is really just control or straight drama. That vacuum makes you latch onto people who are not surrendered. The attachment feels real until the first conflict hits. Then it becomes a ghost that haunts you with false emotions for weeks. You're replaying conversations in your head, feeling guilty over nothing. I had a cousin walk through that exact cycle, chasing family that was really chaos because it felt familiar. Took him years to see the pattern.
And do not underestimate love relationships either. This one hits differently. You meet somebody, sparks are flying, everything feels right on the surface, but they are not surrendered to the same king. One is trying to go higher with God, the other is still operating in fear, comfort, or the world's way. You're trying to make it work because the feelings are real, but every disagreement drags you back into the old loop. Unequally yoked is not just for marriage. 2 Corinthians 6:14 lays it out clear, quote, "Do not be yoked together with unbelievers, for what righteousness and wickedness have in common, or what fellowship can light have with darkness?" End quote. It applies to dating, to engagement, even to that we're just friends, but it is deeper situation. You cannot surrender fully while carrying somebody pulling you off the narrow road, even if they mean well and have a good heart. The calling on your life is too specific.
And friendships. This one is sneaky. You have that ride or die friend from way back. You have been through everything, but now God has you on a different frequency. They are still bringing drama, gossip, bitterness, or that low-key jealousy every time you talk about the vision God gave you. You keep the friendship at a distance, thinking it's fine, but the false emotions are still there. Then one little trigger, a disagreement, a life change, and the ghost latches on. You are bothered for days, replaying stuff that doesn't even match the actual situation. That's because you never fully detached something that was never built on truth. False relationships create false emotions, and those emotions become chains that slow the whole forge down.
Social media makes it even worse. That default mode network has us all captivated. You are scrolling, seeing the same, "Hey, how have you been? I'm good" posts from people still living in bitterness and ego. You start feeling connected to people you've never shared a meal with in real life. Microhooks stacking up in the subconscious. Then real life hits, and suddenly you're bothered by a ghost you never even met in person. It builds false community. You're feeling tied to old acquaintances who are still operating in the same old patterns. That's why you have to cut the fake stuff too. It piles up and weighs you down.
Then you have the good people trap. This one fools many of us. They go to church every Sunday, quote verses left and right, say all the right things, but they are not surrendered. They are still running on fear, control, drama, or comfort Christianity. When God calls you higher, to the watchman post, to something like these garden sessions, to that high rock mountain station, those same people become weights, not because they are evil, but because they are not aligned with the calling on your life. Keeping them close creates static that drowns out the clear signal from the king. It's like trying to run a marathon with a backpack full of bricks you call loyalty. You're not getting anywhere fast, and you're wondering why the race feels so heavy.
That is the thing. All of these build the exact same problem. False relationships on false emotions. And when something goes wrong, the attachment does not let go clean. It lingers like a ghost. You feel the pull, the guilt, the what if, even after you know deep down it had to end. This is not, "I am better than you." This is, "God has a specific calling for me, and I cannot let anything drag it off course." You cannot give up the old things without God. But once He starts the clean house process, He will point to people, habits, portals, and patterns and say, "Remove it." Not because He's cruel, because He's protecting the work He's doing in you.
Remember Abraham? God told him straight, quote, "Leave your country, your people, and your father's household," end quote. Not because they were all evil, some of them probably loved him, but because the promise required clean ground. Same with David and Saul. David loved Saul like family, but Saul's jealousy and fear were poisoning the future king. David had to separate. Painful, but obedient. Or think about Lot and Sodom. God had to pull him out before the fire fell, because staying would have cost him everything. Same principle. If they are not surrendered, they cannot discern the same way you can. If they are not on the same frequency, they will pull you back into the old default mode. If they bring drama, bitterness, lies, or yelling, they are opening portals you already closed in prayer. Cutting ties is painful because real attachment feels real, but false attachment feels real too, until it starts haunting you at 3 a.m. when you were trying to sleep.
You keep the person at a distance, but still in your life. You say, we are cool, but the false emotion is still there. Then something happens, a disagreement, a trigger, a life change, and the ghost latches on. You feel bothered for days, you replay conversations, you feel guilt or anger that does not match the actual situation. That is because you never fully detached something that was never built on truth. False relationships create false emotions. Those emotions become chains that slow the forge. God is trying to make you light and ready for the high calling. Every false tie adds weight you are not meant to carry.
I have another parable for that one too. Picture two trees planted side by side in the same good soil. One growing straight toward the sun, roots deep, branches reaching high. The other has a vine wrapped tight around its trunk. Pretty leaves at first, but it is sucking the life right out. The gardener comes through and says, I have to cut that vine or the whole tree dies. The tree feels the cut, sap runs a little, but next season it is thicker, stronger, loaded with fruit. That is you, family. That vine might be a romantic relationship that looks good on the outside but keeps pulling you back to the world. It might be a friendship full of gossip that sows division every time you talk. It might even be family that mocks your faith when nobody else is around. Cut it cleanly. Matthew 7:16-20 tells us, quote, by their fruit you will recognize them, end quote. Not perfection, fruit. If the fruit is chaos, bitterness, pulling you from surrender, obedience says prune.
And here is how you do it right. Discernment, not arrogance. Pray first. Ask God to show you clearly, no guessing. Check the fruit. If they are not surrendered to the same king and not aligned with the calling on your life, the cut is obedience, not judgment. Do it cleanly. No drama, no long explanations that invite argument or back and forth. Just the boundary. I love you, but this is not for me anymore. I am walking where God is leading. Then guard the gate. No backdoors. No just checking in texts that reopen the portal. After the cut, you can still pray for them from afar. Love them with distance. Forgiveness does not require access. That is a big nuance many people miss. Cutting ties does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop letting it cost you the calling.
Even in the tough cases, what if it is your own blood? What if it is your child making choices that pull the whole house off course? What if it is your spouse and the misalignment is deep? Different levels, family. You do not abandon responsibility or the covenant, but even there, you set boundaries in the home God runs. You do not let yelling or manipulation run the house. You pray, you seek wise counsel, you stand firm in love. God honors the heart that says, not my will, but yours, even when it hurts my feelings and even when it looks cold to the outside world. The forge is hot, but the vessel is coming out stronger.
Brother, God has hardwired you for truth because the calling is real. None of the vision, these sessions, the music as armory, the Hard Rock Mountain Station, none of that can be built while carrying false branches. You are not heartless. You are obedient. You are not cold. You are guarded. You are not alone. You are parked on the perch where the birds are singing the same song in both worlds. Cut what he says to cut. Guard what he says to guard. The forge is hot, but the station is rising.
Saved by grace, not by luck.
As always, keep digging. Please share this with someone you believe needs to hear it.